We just hatched out some chicks here a couple of weeks ago, and I thought I'd do a video that explains all of the things that you need when you have baby chicks to make sure that they are healthy and that they thrive. That first week that you have baby chicks, that you have a sufficient heat source for them. We are currently doing a combination of a couple of things. We have both a heat plate, which they can crawl under and get warmed. It is also adjustable, so you can raise up the legs and they can get under it as they grow. We also are using a heat lamp. I found that using a combination of the two really helped to keep warm, even when they couldn't all fit underneath the plate. You want to make sure that your chicks have food. When I'm feeding my chicks, I prefer to feed chicks some sort of a crumble food. I find that they eat it better than whole seeds, and it just appears that it's easier for them to eat and process. When it comes to my older chickens, I do like to feed them whole seeds. We just buy food locally from a place that produces it in 1,000-pound bags of layer feed that's grown locally, non-GMO. And it seeds in different combinations of things, and my chickens love it. But as far as baby chicks, I like to feed them crumbled food because I just feel it, they eat more of it and it's easier for them to eat. You want to make sure that they have adequate water supply. I've tried several different types of waters. I eventually got to the point where I just buy the base, and then you can do a jar or a cheap screw-on container to fit it. The other ones I found over time, they just don't last and they end up leaking, and then your brooder ends up smelling really bad because everything gets wet and it stays wet. And I've just found that this with a plate underneath it or something to catch all of the water that falls is the easiest to clean up and maintain for them. Another thing that you want to make sure that you have for chicks is either buy some sort of grit for them to help them digest their food, or sand, depending on how much money you want to spend. I've bought just regular sand and used that before, or this time we just went ahead and bought some grit just because I didn't have any. It was the opportunity that I had, but I've used both and I appreciate both. I don't see one being more useful than the other. So for chicks, you need a brooder which has some sort of bedding down in it, so to clean up their droppings. You need a heat source because they need to be kept in adequate heat. That first week they need to have heat available that is keeping them right around 95 degrees. Now the first night we tried to just do the heat plate. A couple of them got pushed out to the side, and I didn't appreciate that or feel like it was sufficient. So we also went ahead and clamped on this heat lamp. As they get older, I might just move to the heat plate and give them the opportunity to get on and off. I kind of just take it by what the birds are telling me. If all of the birds are huddled away from the light, that's telling me I'm keeping it too hot. And if all of the birds are huddled up underneath the light, that means they're too cold, or they're all huddled up underneath the heat plate. You want to see your chicks be active like this and just be kind of running all over, doing everything. Right now they're hiding in the corner, not because they're too hot, but because I'm in here and I keep reaching my hand in here and they just don't want to be picked up. I also like to give them fun little things to try. Right now they currently have a sunflower head in there that they get to pick the seeds out of. I've also tried giving them grass and worms and bugs, and trying to let them experience what they're going to get when they get to go outside. You need to make sure that they have fresh water and keep the wood chips out of it, because they will, regardless of how you really put it up there, they will get wood chips in it with all of their scratching around. So just need to make sure that you're refreshing the water, make sure it's nice and fresh, and get the wood chips out of it. I have found that if they do get pasty butt as chicks, that if you do what is called magic water and you put in some garlic and some apple cider vinegar in their water, it actually helps prevent pasty butt. Now I've only had one chick out of this batch end up getting just a little bit of pasty butt, and it was enough that I just took a wet paper towel and just held it up on its little bum for a little while until all of that softened. And then I was able to just gently get it off of there. You don't want to just pull or take it off of there because you could hurt your chick. You want to soften it up with a wet paper towel or soaking their bum in water until all of that softens, and then you're able to gently work it off of them. But this batch hasn't seemed to really have a problem with pasty butt. Like I said, I had one chick that I had to just clean up one time, and other than that, I haven't felt the need to give them any magic water or anything. They seem to be doing really well. That's what we do here to take care of our chicks and make sure that they're healthy. As they get older, we do a couple different things to introduce them to the rest of the flock and introduce them to the outside elements and the rest of the flock. And I will share those as we get to those steps. But currently, right now, we just keep them in the brooder and make sure that they have a heat source, fresh water, and ample food, and some grit to help them digest that food. I'd be curious to know if anybody else has anything else that they do for their chicks. So thanks for watching, and I'll show you what we do along the way.